Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome back to the Run It Back podcast. Got an absolutely doozy one for you today. It's the award show, episode number 10. We're in a new decade, boys. I'm feeling a bit saucy, feeling a bit spicy. I don't know about you before on the other line, but I'm ready to roll. So introducing my co-host first, I guess, the man behind the production studio, I guess. DL, how are we this evening?
Mate, I'm really good. I think we've really upped the technology stage today because
Elon Musk,
we've dialed in, but not on phones, via our computers. So it took a little bit to get going, but all four of us are on the screen, which is great, and dialed in. Sounds really, pretty clear.
Gone with the times of the new decade and just got up to speed, to be honest.
I think you have to. I think you got to move with the times. As much as I loved hearing Craig's voice on the phone, probably wasn't ideal for our listeners at home. So
I think he's upgraded as well. He's not standing in a street corner with a dimly lit light looking into other people's houses tonight, so that's a good thing.
That was one time, Sean. That was one time.
We haven't introduced you. Be quiet. Speaking of the stat man, welcome to the podcast, Gregos. How are we?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm doing good. 2020, boys and girls.
Today.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it's good. I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
I hope so, boy. I hope so. Dale, you got someone else?
Today with you? Yeah, I've got Stoney in the studio with me. I don't know if he's got any breaking news for us tonight, but he does have some great selections. I've just had a sneaky little look at what he's got, so it's a little bit exciting for us because we're actually going to wrap up 2019. We've actually broken it down into 5 categories: Fighter of the Year, Fight of the Year, Knockout of the Year, Breakout Fighter of the Year, which should be interesting. That was cool because everyone did a different selection for that one. And we've got 2020 predictions. So that's going to be interesting to see what everyone comes up with. But we're not going to muck around too much on the podcast. We were going to do a bit of a shot, but Stoney's jumped in. He was super keen. He's already knocked his shot down. Super so, boys.
Get it, boy.
The stat man was throwing shade at me. I felt the pressure.
So I'm just going to indulge in the shot myself there, boys. So cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
Well, it's no American Honey Sting, but it's pretty nice. We've got 5 categories. We'll start this podcast off with the Fighter of the Year because it's probably the big one, and it's actually one that we see a couple of repeated names there. 3 of us have got the same fighter.
I can probably tip who's got it. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Look, I might let our stat man kick us off first.
As per usual. I wouldn't expect anything different.
Stat man, who is your Fighter of the Year?
I mean, it's kind of based around the event that brought us all together. You know, like got me and Sony on the podcast. My Fighter of the Year is Israel Adesanya. 3-0 in 2019. Anderson Silva, Kelvin Gastelum, Robert Whittaker. As much as it pained me to watch it, it was a beautiful year.
I love hearing that. Can you just tell me who it is again?
Israel Adesanya.
Oh, I love when Craig says it. That's fantastic, Craig.
Previous thing you've ever said. I love when Craig says
Israel Adesanya. Just for you, Dio.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Tony, Fighter of the Year.
I've gone for none other than game-bred Jorge Masvidal. I just think I base my pick that after a long career of being known as a fighter that could get close but never really take that final step, in 2019 he really broke out and become the complete package with knockouts over Till, Ben Askren, and obviously the controversial stoppage of Nate Diaz. I just think it was such a well-rounded year from Masvidal. He really shot himself into stardom. Certainly don't disagree with the stat man with Izzy, but for me it's Masvidal all the way for 2K19.
Yeah, it is a solid pick. I mean, you can't go wrong. There's probably about 3 or 4 fighters you could really put into that Fighter of the Year category, female and male. To round it out, I'll go into mine, SG. So mine is also Israel Adesanya.
I'm surprised you're not wearing his shirt tonight.
I should have,
Disappointed.
Sorry, boys. Anyway, I won't say too much because everyone's heard me talk about Izzy on every podcast. So, SG, who you got?
Look, I've gone... boys are throwing a bit of a curveball in here. I've gone Izzy as well. From my perspective, I just think it's too big of a year to not give him Fighter of the Year, considering what he's done this year. Gregos talked through the wins, obviously, but for me, standout performance in every single fight, and I think he deserves the tag of the Run It Back Fighter of the Year, in my opinion.
Awesome.
Kind of a hard year to pick because there was a few fighters that it could have gone to. I think Jorge, you'd probably if you got 100 people in a room, if you're playing like Family Feud rules, I think most people would go Jorge Masvidal or is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I agree. Well, look, you think about like Nunes has had a big year as well. I know she's only fought twice, but
It's just so unfortunate that the if the Cyborg fight had happened like 4 days later, it might have been Nunes. But
good year for Izzy, I reckon. 100% should be happy with his fight of the year. If I was him, that's my biggest accolade for 2019. Getting nominated by the runner-back group.
absolutely.
Just quickly, the Statman raises a great point about the timing of fights, and one who I was surprised didn't get a mention, but may get a mention later on, is our very own Alex the Great, where he had a fantastic year, and right at the turn of 2018, he defeated Chad Mendes, and I couldn't help but think that if that was in the first week or in the first month of 2019, maybe he almost takes that as a no contest. But the fact he only had 2 wins in the calendar year means that he's a very good year, but just not quite good enough for the run-it-back fighter of the year.
I think Henry Cejudo was in the same ballpark as well. He had a late fight last year as well.
A lot of love for Henry Cejudo here on the run-it-back. DL never stops talking off air about Henry Cejudo, and I know that deep down he wanted to put that down as his fighter of the year. But again, 2 fights in the first half of the year. I think if we voted in July, it'd be Henry Cejudo, but the injury curtailed his year, and that was the end of him.
Do you know what? I firmly disagree. If I was voting July, I would not vote for him because I hate his hair. There you go. Put it out there.
And unfortunately, SG is normally wrong, so that means it was a good prediction in July. Well done, Stoney.
You hate his hair. Oi. You need to elaborate. Why do you hate his hair? Why?
Pisses me off.
Is it super light? It's super light on his head. I get it. I know what. No.
It's so fucking thick and luscious.
Oh, I'm off him. His fucking hair is the worst hair. Yeah, no.
Let's not get into that discussion. I don't want to get sponsored by no hair.
I just don't like his videos and his cringiness.
Yeah, exactly.
What's he call himself?
King of Cringe.
King of Cringe, the Lord of Cringe. It's too much for me. Anyway, let's move on. Fight of the year. I'm excited to hear this one. Let's kick us off with the stat man. Craig, what do you got?
It happened on a card with potentially 2 fight of the years, but Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum takes it for me. The insanity of the last 3 rounds is just ridiculous, and ending the fight with 10, 15 seconds left. It was perfect. You could have made an argument for a 2-2 split going into the 5th round, and both fighters had such good back and forth all the way through. But that fight, I don't think another fight this year has made me say holy shit as many times while watching it. So that gets my fight of the year for 2019.
Do you reckon this is Izzy's, I don't know what you'd call it, but he kind of didn't have a lot of respect before this fight, and for him to go 5 rounds. Well, is a headline?
It was 5. It was 5, yeah.
5 rounds.
So he finished it
5 rounds with
450.
Gastelum. 5 rounds with Gastelum's ridiculous, and none of them wanted to go down. Obviously, Gastelum didn't want to go down because Izzy had to keep punching him. So,
well, you got to see
we won some
Izzy
good money
in
on
a bit
that
of
one.
trouble.
we did win some good money on that. Yes, true.
You got to see Izzy in a bit of trouble. It's crazy because he came off a win over Anderson Silva, and you kind of think this guy still needs to prove himself, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But the Kelvin Gastelum fight answered a lot of questions there.
Thanks, Craig. Stoney, what have you got for your fight of the year?
Look, solid work there, Craig. Don't have any problem with Izzy. I just want to retrace on that quote. No other fight has made me say holy shit quite as much. In the famous words of SG, I firmly disagree. But the fight that I'm going to pull from the archives is Brad Riddell and Jamie Malarkey from UFC 243. We were all in attendance, but we were that far back that no one was saying holy shit because we couldn't really see the action.
You know what? Firmly disagree. I was ringside.
Ridiculous fight.
Confidence is key.
No, ridiculous fight. I looked for a bit of a point of difference in this one, and we'll see how that pans out with the next 2 predictions. But there were a lot of knockdown slugfests throughout the year. This didn't have any divisional importance. It had no impact really on the title race or rankings or anything like that. But I tell you what, it just did not let us down in terms of action from start to finish. There were countless times that I thought Malarkey was out cold, and his chin, I don't know how it held up.
Jaw, man. Oh, fuck.
It was ridiculous.
Let's make you say, oh, fuck.
That was oh shit. The fuck's
But obviously, Riddell come in boasting a very impressive kickboxing background. There was a lot of hype. I think he was the short favourite for the fight. Malaki, a local boy out of Queensland, I believe, didn't have
Central Coast.
Central Coast. My bad. Not a lot of fanfare at the stadium, but boy, he put on an absolute hell of a fight, and full respect to him. So that's my fight of the year, boys.
It's going into mine. So my fight of the year is actually the same fight. One, because we were there. It was cool to be in part of it. Two, that was Brad Quake Riddell's debut UFC fight. So from the City Kickboxing family in New Zealand. So it was really cool to see that crew together. And I think there's some cool vision of Alex the Great beside ringside watching that fight, taking every punch and running. It felt like it was like me, the way I watch fights sometimes. I'm really restless. And Alex is ringside on the other side of the crowd doing the same thing as I would be doing in home. It was cool to see that we're all fight fans, and it was a great win. So for me, that was also my fight of the year.
SG got a standing ovation in the audience as well. Like, it was a pretty solid one, and both of those guys are fighting on the New Zealand card.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Coming up, which is exciting.
SG, what do you got?
Look, I've gone a little bit different from mine, to be honest. While it was fight of the year for me, just based off like fanfare and just the hype around it and just the whole kind of like the weirdness of the fight. But I've gone Izzy versus Anderson Silva. I just think in terms of like the matchup and how the fight went down and just the whole theatrics of the fight, kind of did a little bit different for me. So I went for that and just went, it was a cool fight to see, and one that I think is for the ages and will really define his career as well. So that's my fight of the year.
Wow, that's a very interesting. When you sent me these today, I was surprised that was your fight. A lot of people found that fight quite awkward just because the styles are very similar. But for you to respect that as the fight, that's why you liked it. I think that's really cool. So
yeah, I just think like you looked at it and it was just, I just remember sitting there watching it, just being like, holy shit,
yeah.
This is just insane that these boys are doing the same thing, and just the whole theatrics around the fight was just like, it was insane. And then to see him get the win over him, I think it's a real career-defining moment for Izzy. Yeah, it's the reason why I went fight of the year.
They nearly talked about passing the torch for that style, really. And it kind of felt that way in the sense of Izzy had an opportunity to probably knock him out. And I kind of felt sometimes, this is probably pulling down, and Anderson Silva was amazing and he probably couldn't have knocked him out. But like, I always felt like Izzy could have gone harder.
Boom. That's it. You've taken the words out of my mouth there, DL. Theatrics, I think you've nailed it, SG. Great fight from a visual perspective, but the whole time I just kept getting the feel that Izzy deep down didn't want to destroy the legacy of Anderson Silva, and I felt that they were comfortable to settle for a decision.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It was weird in that sense. I think it's huge respect to SG picking that as his fight of the year.
I've only seen it once. I haven't gone back and rewatched it. I think I was so burnt out from the Robert Whittaker Kelvin Gastelum fight pulling through. I was so gutted going into it that I watched the event and I kind of felt flat throughout the entire event. So you boys saying that, I might have to go give it a rewatch.
Run that bad boy back.
Yeah, run it back. It's in the name, son. All right, boys, I'm excited about this one. I think we're all excited about this one. So the third one in review for the Run It Back podcast for 2019 in review, or some of us are calling this an award show, but maybe one day it might be an award show. We might have some little Run It Back awards.
Maybe if we could send people like little tiny shit trophies.
Do you want to send all these? We'll just send them.
Yeah, like rugby league little like plastic.
Like what the fuck is this turned up?
Like a pigeon racing trophy.
Or
just
is
the
he
trophy and like a little slip of paper with a link to our podcast. Just there you go.
Well done, boys.
Well, Israel, you've got a package from the Run It Back podcast.
All jokes aside, I guarantee the man that I've picked for the finish of the year would be sitting in his caravan. He would love to receive that package, DL. So laugh as you will, but some would appreciate it.
Triple C will love his package. Me give him worst haircut of Oh no, deal! What was that dude we watched on that Run It Back? There, was either the ref or like the cameraman.
Oh shit! Yeah, I remember that. No.
Anyway, let's move on. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm getting off track.
Cool. So finish of the year. We've got the audio a little bit, so I've actually got these queued up. So first one is Craig. Craig, you want to run us through your finish of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't think of a time when I was hyped for a stylistic matchup quite like Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. And just the animosity. I love an undefeated streak, so I love Ben Askren. For the longest time outside the UFC, I was like, let's see what he can do. I was impressed with how he handled the Robbie Lawler fight. He got knocked out, some would say, and then came back to controversially choke out Robbie Lawler. So I was really, really, really excited for Jorge Masvidal, who's been around for a long time. And even after the Till knockout, I still had some questions about Jorge Masvidal, and fucking got answered.
I watched that Darren Till knockout the other day, and I wasn't convinced. I wasn't convinced about it either. So
No? I love the sprinting dick kick that he starts off that Till fight with.
Gold.
It's beautiful.
it's gold. It's gold. I've seen SG do that at the pub.
Several times this one.
All right,
Baby.
let's see it, boys. So this is the fastest knockout in UFC history.
The number 4 ranked welterweight contender in the world, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. And the action begins. Our referee in charge, Jason Herzog.
I have no idea,
Jason
honestly.
Herzog back in
I know
there
he's
for
had it
this
for a
one.
long time.
Ariane Celeste is
Had
here.
it back into
Ricky
Bellator
Palmer,
days.
Brooklyn
Big fan.
also on hand. Gamebred
Ariane
is in the building.
Love that.
And these guys
Love the
just
shit
flapping
talk,
gums
man.
at each other. Any chance they get. The fight clock is brought to you
I love the count.
He's just he's like,
Look at that
Fuck,
shit.
I love it.
Damn, that's so
That's right. Have you ever seen the the footage of Rogan watching that?
good. Yeah, that's so good.
so good.
I love that.
I think the only thing could rival that is if we had had a video watching DL and myself in the theatre watching that and how we responded.
We'll do
In
that.
terms of pure shock, I don't think there's been I think Ngannou held that title, the most shocking knockout I'd ever seen. And then
Over
over him, correct. And I think Masvidal completely tore that trophy out of his hands with that one. I've never been dumbfounded. I don't think a whole lot of noise come out, but the sheer reaction of our faces was just shock and disbelief almost.
Just to get a knee that clean, like, it's just crazy.
And what really added to that was then the video surfaced from a couple of days earlier where he was actually rehearsing that start to the fight. Craig, I don't know if you saw those ones.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and obviously it was something that he trained, knowing Ben Askren, and to put the perfect capper on that finish was how he started off the Nate Diaz fight by kind of alluding to
Yeah,
it.
that was
He had
the
it like,
best.
I do not want any part of that. I want to fuck off.
Nate's like, fuck, I'm out of here.
Look, I'll quickly jump in before we go to Stoney because my my knockout of the year was actually the same one as the Statman's.
There you go.
So 2 for Gamebred with that knee. I couldn't go past it. It was crazy.
Pitch perfect.
It was solid. I really hope they go a little bit further with the BMF belt, to be honest.
Oh, it looks like
Watch
McGregor
his
wants
face.
McGregor
Oh,
wants
boy,
something.
do we just have some breaking news? Hang on.
it. Oh no! So every time he's saying it gets said.
Breaking news with Stoney.
I thought he had no breaking news.
He doesn't.
You?
He doesn't.
SG, I've seconded you in for this one.
He doesn't.
Hit us with your breaking news.
What do you got, SG?
Oh, me. Breaking news on the Run It Back podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Conor McGregor has absolutely decided that he either wants to fight for the BMF belt or Wonderboy for the what was Wonderboy's one that he got?
Nicest motherfucker.
Nice motherfucker belt.
No, he wouldn't swear.
Kind date to you, concert.
Mother fricker.
So that's Sean and the stat man, Stoney. Who have you got,
And
buddy?
spot on. If this was knockout of the year, I'd firmly agree. This is a finish of the year. So I've gone a little bit different. The Arkansas assassin, thug nasty, Bryce Mitchell, as recently as December 8, pulled out an amazing submission, a twister. SG is the most qualified white belt on the podcast. I know for an absolute fact you've never pulled one of these bad boys out on the mats or off the mats for that matter.
Right there for 1 second. Disrespect me and call me
Lies.
just a white belt. I'm a 4th white belt. Thank you very much.
Did you? I don't know if anyone listened to the podcast he did with Theo, and he was talking about how he got around the twister, and he said he learnt it off YouTube.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's
He
brilliant.
learned it off, I think, Eddie Bravo, yeah?
Yeah,
That's how Korean Zombie learned it before. He did it as well. He watched it on YouTube the night before. It's fucking...
that's brilliant.
It's actually a pretty crazy setup how you got to get your feet, because it starts with when you... No, we'll go through it, Washington. It starts with when you hook your feet in and stuff like that. But
All right, Sean, you can break it down a little bit for us, but this is...
Let's go, Eddie.
let's go.
Eddie Bravo talking...
Can't quite get it. Is that left hook? He's having trouble getting it in. Sales is defending, trying to keep that elbow in tight.
So he's got his...
Slides it in, waits for his opportunity. He threw that body triangle on him, but he threw it on the side towards the mat. So you see Sales, and he draw triangle here.
Nice job by Sales defensively. 1 minute in the round.
Yeah, Sales is missing opportunities there. Every time he turns back into him, he can take a high crotch. It's presenting himself, but he's not taking it.
Yeah.
He's got to be careful here.
He's going to get
Set up a twist.
Yo, no way. No way.
Oh my God, he's got you. That's tight.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's spine.
Sean Shelby, get your checkbook out right now, baby.
Fuck. Do you know what's really weird about that I didn't notice before? The ref knew what he was doing, so the ref was getting closer and closer to the fight. Did you notice that? I never noticed that the few times.
That he had him, when he was on his back, he was trying to set it up as well, because you see unhooks his right hook,
Yeah.
and he's only got one hook in, and he's trying to triangle his legs around his knee.
That's
Doesn't get it, he gets to the top, and then he goes for it again.
That's crazy.
And I think the four stripe has nailed it in it was the lead in. It was the way he just patiently worked his way to take the back, and when the rear naked wasn't there for the taking, in came the twister. And look, SG, correct me if I'm wrong, but even if you've got someone letting you have their absolute way with them, that's a difficult submission to pull off. So executed perfectly against a highly competent opponent, that's a crazy finish.
It is. That's why you don't see it, man.
Thanks for that, John.
That's why people listen to me. Those insights.
Oh, that was just people applauding my comment.
That's crazy.
Earl, what do you got for us?
Okay, so my finish of the year, everyone knows that I love a story.
Get out.
I'm a fucking journeyman.
Well, how about you tell us?
So I've got honourable mentions. Shevchenko. You're a dick, Sean.
Baseball bat to the head.
No, Shevchenko, Valentina versus Jessica I love that. I love that kick. Dropped her.
The noise.
Honourable mention is also to Bryce Mitchell, but my finish of the year, Kevin Lee. Boys, it was beautiful. Let me just relive it.
Yeah, fundamentally sounding very low in his stance. Oh, they're throwing bombs, switching it up to the body.
Night.
Not good.
My goodness.
Look at the strut.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Look at the strut.
The Motown Phenom on the road in New York tonight. Renders Gillespie unconscious, no longer undefeated. How about Kevin Lee, Joe?
You don't get a more spectacular result than that. Wow.
Solid.
Boys.
That's enough for me, buddy.
Let the record show that only one person is clapping.
But I was firmly clapping when it happened. Knockout.
Good knockout.
I was emotional after that. I really was shook. Kevin Lee has been through a bit. He's been doubted. He is a beast. I loved it. He stuck to his game plan and he nailed it.
Incredible finish. What this has really highlighted for me is how many fights I actually watch with DL in the theatre, because every one that gets raised just brings back these memories. We were firmly on Kevin Lee. I think it was DL and myself. We were both on Kevin Lee. SG, as usual, was wrong with his prediction on Gillespie. But that's an outstanding knockout. I still rate the Askren knockout as knockout of the year, but that's right up there and a very solid selection for finish of the year, DL.
Excellent. Cool. That rounds out. We're going to move straight into Breakout Fighter of the Year. I think everyone had a different fighter for this one, if I can remember rightly. But we'll kick it off with the stat man.
Beautiful, guys. If you told me that my breakout fighter 2 years ago, you told me that my breakout fighter for 2019 would come out of Glendale fighting, I would have told you it's insane. They ruined Ronda Rousey. They ruined Travis Brown. Edmund Shabazian is a Armenian freak of nature, 3-0 in 2019, 3 finishes in the first round. He's now 4-0 in the UFC and plus an extra victory in Dana White's Tuesday Contender Series. His last 2 wins, Jack Marshman and Brad Tavares, coming in the later part of the year. Both probably not championship quality fighters, but definitely like journeymen leading into the upper echelons of the division. Everyone beats Brad Tavares on their way up. And I think that
is he beating?
Yeah, he's the gatekeeper to future gatekeepers and champions. I wouldn't put him on the Ronaldo Jacare level of gatekeeper status, who I love. But if you beat Brad Tavares, chances are you are looking at that top 10 opponent next time around. Very, very excited to see where he goes in, and I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of 2020 or early 2021 we see Edmund with a title shot. I mean, he's kind of...
Oh,
apologies,
Shawnee. What was that?
SG.
Yeah.
Pipe down.
I got too excited.
Is that me getting the...
You get the wind up. Oh, great. Fuck off. Stoney, take us over.
Boys, coming into 2019, my prediction for Breakout Fighter of the Year would have been Johnny Walker. But in late 2018, as I sat in DL Theatre once again and watched an Australian fighter by the name of Alex the Great Volkanovski completely dismantled Chad Mini Mendez, it really got me thinking that this might be somebody on the rise. And now, not in the sense of somebody who was just starting their career because he had a number of wins on his belt, but someone who was really breaking out into the upper echelon of his division. So impressed I was in the manner in which he just walked through Chad. I actually went and placed on January the 11th a bet with Sportsbet that Alex the Great would hold the UFC featherweight title come the end of the year. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Oof. Did you actually do that?
Yeah, you did.
Actually did do that.
How much was
What
the
were
pain?
the odds for that?
$10.20.
How much you put on?
Irrelevant.
$2.
$10. $10.
He won $20.
$20, mate.
And as I said, I think if Alex had fought Chad in the first week or the first month of the calendar year, it would have made the fighter of the year almost a no contest. But the fact that he only had 2 wins in the calendar year means that he couldn't take out the fighter of the year for me, but he certainly took out the breakout fighter in breaking out into the absolute elite of the division.
I think that's offensive to call Volkanovski the breakout fighter. He's the fucking division's champ. He's already broken out.
He's broken out as a fighter. He come in.
He's wearing that crown.
Outside the Chad Mendez fight, which he was a massive underdog. There were firm doubts around whether he belonged at the top. He was a massive underdog against Aldo, and he was a massive underdog against Max Holloway. And I won a lot of money on the latter 2 of those fights.
I think looking back at your picks, you should have swapped Masvidal and Volkanovski. You should have Volkanovski as your fighter of the year and Masvidal as your breakout fighter of the year. But
see, my criteria is you have to have 3 wins in a calendar year to be fighter of the year. I can't justify having 2 wins and you're the fighter of the year.
No one gave you a criteria, my friend. Personal opinion. And I will get straight into mine. And before I do, I've got a little something for you all.
Started.
Anyway, back into mine. I've got a little one for you guys. Have you guys ever seen that YouTube video?
no.
Never.
You look it up and say, geez, dude. So anyway, for me, unfortunately for myself, when I feel absolutely filthy and dirty, like a small feral pig in the mud, because I've gone the same pig as Stoney.
Pigs love mud.
I've gone Volkanovski as well. DL, I know you're not feeling it.
Pigs love mud. All right, so I think it's up to me. Breakout fighter of the year for me, gone a little bit different. I've actually chosen Macy Barber.
Ooh.
Yeah, Macy Barber's my breakout of the year. It's just the 2 fights. It doesn't quite cut it if we're using Stoney's categories or his
criteria.
Criteria, sorry, mate. 2 fights, 2 impressive fights. I love her attitude. She's got a huge attitude about who she wants, and she called out Paige. Paige said no.
Good call, Paige.
Have a bit of fun with it.
See, DL, I think you and I have one idea of Breakout fighter, and SG and Stoney have a different idea because SG went Alex as well.
Yeah, I think it's about finding someone that's going to be a highlight in 2020. Breakout. You're breaking out. You're not broken out.
Well, is it you breaking out as a fighter, or you're breaking out as a contender, or you're breaking out as a champ? There's a lot of different levels to this. So I think SJ and mine are valid, but
That's why I
equally,
like it.
so are yours incredibly valid.
I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying.
You look stressed.
I think it's both. I was like, oh shit, when Stoney was going on his, I was like, oh god, I've done it completely wrong.
Yeah, well, because then you could say Breakout fighters Adesanya.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Anyway, mine's Macy Barber, 2 fights, both TKOs, taking those fights to 2 and 1 round. She wants to beat John Jones's record of the youngest champion of a division. Look out, Macy Barber. I'm excited about that one. Boys, last one.
You know what? I should have went GSP's.
Right. Don't make a mockery of the awards.
I take it back.
So we run into the final one, guys. This is going to be interesting. So our final category is predictions for 2020. Statman, hit us.
Guys, I wrote this one before I thought that we would be doing sending out actual awards to these people. I desperately want us to not send out an award here, but my 2020 prediction, John Jones pops for a steroid and is suspended for 2 years. That's my hot pick for 2020. I think Jones is a little juicy slut.
So that's your 20. Is that your 2020 prediction or your 2018 reflection? I'm confused.
Mate, with John Jones, it's all the same. It doesn't matter if it's 2016, 2017, 2018. It's all the same.
So just quickly on John Jones, what's he got? He's got Reyes coming up for the title in May.
Yes. Is it May or is it March? One of the two.
God, wouldn't it be a letdown for the podcast if they set up the Adesanya John Jones and then it all fell through and Craig come through with the goods?
Craig, that'd be terrible.
Craig, you've cursed the podcast. Don't do that to us.
I don't even know if it's going to get booked. I think that either pre-fight, post-fight. I don't know if it's going to be his first fight or his second fight. I mean, he's done it before. He nearly tanked UFC 200, testing positive.
He definitely did. That was a big letdown in the end, wasn't it?
So I do think that, I mean, looking back at it, I think that the signs are all there for Mr. John Jones to maybe not be with us for a couple of years.
R.I.P. John Jones.
That's so bleak.
Oh,
that's terrible.
Starting off the year on a positive, Craig.
Jeez, I hope no one else has done
I'm a nihilist
like
at heart. It's just who I am.
Fine, Craig. Well played. Stoney, what do you got?
Oh, I'm deflated after that. From one positive to another, my prediction for 2020 is the notorious Conor McGregor
Here we go.
to retire in 2020.
Another fucking depressing prediction.
But here's the kicker. He fights 3 times and he retires with 3 belts. Lightweight, middleweight, bad motherfucker. So here's what we know. We know that Cerrone is in Jan. We know that 6 weeks before anyone else knew that, courtesy of Stoney's breaking news.
Well played.
So he wins in Jan, and that sets up, I think, a July International Fight Week fight with Khabib, in which case he redeems that. And I get that there's a lot of doubt there, but let's just assume he redeems that. That sets up a monster for the end of 2020, where Conor calls out Masvidal, who, in the meantime, has defeated Kamaru Usman in around the May-June period of the year for the middleweight belt. Come December, both belts on the line. Masvidal, Conor McGregor, middleweight, baddest motherfucker. Conor wins. Thanks for coming.
I don't think the BMF belt's coming out again, though.
I think it has to.
Dana said the other day he's open to the idea.
Is he? Breaking news with SG.
Yeah, SG.
You know, I'm not open to Stoney's prediction. Rubbish.
Like Conor going back-to-back beating Khabib and Kamaru Usman. Stoney. Oh my God.
So what this means,
Conor Khabib was smart.
if we fast forward 12 months, fighter of the year, Conor McGregor. Fight of the year, Conor McGregor versus Masvidal. Finish of the year, Conor McGregor knocking out Masvidal. Breakout fighter, Conor McGregor. Done.
I thought we had a strict no crack policy.
Couldn't stop him.
I'll roll into mine then, shall I? I go my 2020 predictions. I got two. My first one is Volkanovski to go unbeaten all year. Won't get beat this year.
What's the odds on that? Is there odds? Stoney should already have his bets on for that one.
Second one, Khabib will suffer his first loss this year.
Ooh.
Dude.
International Fight Week, SG.
Look, unfortunately, I think he's going to get a fight with Connor or Ferguson, and one of them's going to beat him.
Well, he's got the Ferguson one, so which one's going to be?
Well, mate,
Your mate Fergie Ferg.
Make a prediction, SG. Stop being so timid.
I'm only going to put two. Done.
2020. Look out.
That was more of a letdown than Craig's prediction of John Jones.
I went realistic. You boys went fucking crazy.
Or did we?
Okay, I got one. My boy. I'm not going to really say his last name
Because you can't.
because I can't. Oh, Craig, can you help me?
He's your boy.
It's a bit Magomed Sharipov.
Yes, that's me, boy. The old bed hair.
Yeah,
I love him.
Abraham Lincoln.
Mate, he is awesome. Hey, this is really depressing for the podcast also. So I've got Zabit. He'll have Alex's belt by the end of the year.
Oh, I don't reckon. What do you reckon, though, if he's got that haircut? Hair versus hair match. Pseudo versus the
Sponsored by
I would love
Advanced
honestly,
Hair. Yeah.
Deal. I hadn't even thought of Zabit versus.
Mate, that's why it's my
I think that'd be
2020
cool.
prediction, because I put some thought into it. Not some
hair match.
Hey? He's undefeated.
He's also.
Oh no, he's got one loss. Sorry, he's got one loss.
His gas tank is a little bit suspicious coming into the third round, and Volkanovski is a fucking tank.
His last fight went 3 rounds to decision. I don't know how 5 round would go.
Yeah, look, I can't say.
He does good.
You're a bold man, DL.
I don't want Alex to lose his belt.
It sounds like it.
Why would you predict it?
I'll put it out there. Don't fucking
Evil.
that shit, mate.
Evil.
I like how a lot of these predictions have all tied into each other. So Khabib to have his first loss, SG, I agree with you. I think that does happen. But Volkanovski to go undefeated versus DL. Volkanovski to lose to Zabit. There's a bit of competition on the pod. It's a big year, boys. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that's a November-December fight, so we'll have to wait that 12 months for it. So you heard it first here on Daniel's Breaking News.
You also heard it here first that Sassudo versus Zabit 4.
It's too good.
Oh, funny. I think that wraps us up, boys.
Anyway, boys, thank you so much for joining us. That's our 2019 in review. We look to bring you some more really doozy podcast material in the coming weeks and months.
Guess what we've got next, boys?
Mate, we've got a huge one coming up. If you like what we're doing, please hit us up on all our socials. If you really like listening to the podcast, please hit that subscribe button. That really, really helps us. That's us for the Run It Back podcast. My name is Daniel.
My name is Sugarman Snag.
My name is Stoney.
My name is Craig.
And we'll catch you on the next Run It Back podcast. Peace.
Cheers, babe.
Boy.